Language often serves as a vehicle for cultural expression, but it can inadvertently perpetuate stereotypes and reinforce systematic inequalities too. Navigating bias in language and racial dynamics poses complex challenges. Our next guest speaker will shed light on these issues and discuss strategies for addressing these challenges. Welcome, Adelle Asante, a dedicated optometrist and a lived experience storyteller. Adelle,
thank you very much indeed.
there you are. It's wonderful to have you join us. Please do go ahead and speak and share with us your fantastic talk.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. And perhaps I want to say, how are you? It's been an incredible day of many languaging and culturing, and I have nipped in and out as well. So thanks to you and all who have enabled this meeting, bringing together what I call the global community. Very local and very global. And I am honored to be part of this space. Sorry about the hiccup before. And a very good time of day wherever you're joining us. My name is Adelle Asante, and I'm really honored to be part of this year's celebration. I grew up in a place where everywhere in the neighborhood, when you went to school, there'll be a very large, obvious sign that said, "Do not speak vernacular," anywhere on the school compound. But I also come from a place where we say that a man can only be as true as his mother tongue. And the elders have even said, if you speak to a man in a foreign language, you speak to their intellect. However, if you spoke to them in their mother tongue, you spoke to them in their soul. So tonight, perhaps I begin by saying, "Memamunyina akwaba ebe fidi so, eyemenije pi, semenso, menumubetnase, achiche nkomoy," which means I'm incredibly honored to be here and to share in this space. I bring you greetings from ENT Foundation, Esse, the Tetrama, where we use diverse forms of creativity as a tool to promote social cohesion. Quite central to the work we do is the use of the lived and the living experience story as a tool for social change and social justice. Tonight, my contribution into the space and into the conversation is in the area of linguistic racism, which may popularly be known as linguism. And before I even go on, I want to say a little bit about what we mean with the lived experience and what we use these stories for. We believe that the lived experience is a very radical knowledge building and sharing project where people who hitherto were not allowed into the places where knowledge was shared and built today can do so even from the place of marginality, which means that this evening, quite simply, I am here to tell a story. It's important to also add that this story might be your story. So by all means, please do take care of yourself if you find this story triggering in any way. Our story begins somewhere in the late 70s in the UK when my uncle moves into this country. The son of a cocoa farmer with only 25 pounds in his pocket and a suitcase. And he came into this country to pursue a dream, to pursue a career. All of the village, all of the family supported him in this dream. You see, this man, when he dreamt dreams of his future, he was a medical practitioner. That's all he wanted to be, a medical doctor. And so with a bit of scholarship and a bit of support from family and the community, he came to pursue this career. And as you'd expect, he had only one friend, his books. His books were his friend indeed, and he would study them day and night. Exam after exam, he would pass. And then one day he's invited to this final interview, which will secure him a place into the School of Medical Science. And as you'd expect, he did incredibly well. By the end of that interview, the interviewer said, "Emmanuel, there's no doubt that you're a brilliant student. Your grade shows and everything shows. But unfortunately, we cannot allow you in a place in the School of Medical Science because you have no bedside manners." Bedside manners, you might wonder, what does it even mean? Bedside manners is the way or how a doctor talks to or relate to his patient. That day he had to think quick, he had to think fast on his feet. totally broken and disappointed. How was he ever going to tell this story to his family, to the community, and the people who had supported him on this journey? And so he was told perhaps a safer option for him would be to enroll in the School of Biomedical Sciences. So my uncle graduates and become a biomedical scientist. You see, that was safe because he didn't have to talk to patients. Rather than talking to the patients, he was talking to their urine sample, their blood samples, and their other bodily tissues and fluids. On the day of the interview, it was not what he said, it was how he said what he said. And this is prejudice based on people's accent or the way they talk. This is a story of linguistic racism. A story of some words that happened in the 70s. Has it changed? No, it hasn't. It lives with us. It is with us still. And there are so many scholarly articles that talk about this. But I wanted to bring in the lived experience to draw in the import that it's very sad to think that the way you speak alone can change your life trajectory. The how you articulate can change your hopes, your dreams, and everything you've ever worked towards for. Linguistic racism is real and is everywhere. It's important to also understand that there are systems that have enabled this to happen. And if you're a migrant like myself, then you're no stranger to code switching. This is when you are put under pressure to assimilate, sound like the majority, present yourself like the majority. And what it does is you always present a more edited version of yourself because you want to be known and associated with the majority group. Linguistic racism is always disguised in the subtle remarks we hear, the discriminatory policies, and the systemic inequalities we have, we know, and we see all around us. It manifests in the marginalization of languages deemed as inferior, the erasure of dialects dismissed as unworthy, and the suppression of accents labeled as lesser. Like my uncle, perhaps your story is similar. Perhaps you've been told your English is not proficient and we cannot even understand what she's saying. But tonight, perhaps more than anything, I wish to challenge the community today to celebrate us, the many, many different ways we share our stories, the many different ways we speak. Because when we belittle a language, we end up belittling the people who speak it. When we silence a dialect, we silence the stories of generations here and those even yet to come. And when we discriminate against an accent, we rob individuals of their voices and their agency. And in honor of my uncle and many other migrants whose opportunities were robbed of them, sometimes when I get into spaces like this, I want to say incredibly strange languages to say that, yes, we can celebrate these languages and these accents in the many ways they present themselves. Rather than coming with really big strategies to say, how do we break this thing down? How do we dismantle it? Perhaps I want to throw the challenge back to the community. How can we as individuals bring ourselves to a place where we celebrate our many different accents, our many different languages, and the many different hows we express ourselves? Well, for me, quite often I find myself in spaces like this and I say things like, which means if you do not tell your story, be sure someone else would, and they might not tell it right. This is a challenge to all of the community, bit by bit, step by step, to bring ourselves to a place where we really understand and embrace our many diverse cultures, accents, and languages. Thank you, Selena.
Thank you, Adele, and thank you for speaking in your language. It's beautiful. I love to hear different languages, and thank you for raising such pertinent issues such as discrimination against accents. I come from a Pakistani Persian heritage, and my parents do have accents, and they've been on the receiving end of this discrimination, as have many people, I'm sure. So it is so vital that you and we have this discourse to get people to operate with compassion. So thank you so much for sharing today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.